Hello, welcome to No Man Running. I just finished the first week of a 16-week training block for my second marathon that I'm running in December of this year in Valencia in Spain, and it's been a rough few days. Not so much because of the running training itself, you start off slow and you start off short, but because I realised after my first marathon that I really needed to spend a bit of work on strength training this time round, and so I've done two particularly hard strength workouts, and typical of an obsessive runner, I kind of went too hard at it, and so I've been in some real pain and discomfort the last few days, and I haven't pulled anything, but I'm just sore all over. And I recognise that when you're starting something new like the strength training here, it's going to hurt at the beginning until your body gets used to it, and so I know it's something I have to just kind of push through. I had a Zoom call with a good friend of mine, Steve Saxton, a few months back, and we kind of talked about that topic, and Steve had a really interesting way that he thinks about the different kinds of pain running.
It's funny, one of the things that's a struggle for me when I'm first starting running is it's getting less, but it's about 600-700 meters. All the parts of my body are telling me that, no, you're too sore to run today, or your legs are too heavy, oh, my hamstrings bothering me. And for me, when I get older, I'm struggle sometimes to get the difference between when I'm being a baby about aches and pains or when I've got a potential real injury. I know now to run through that early part, but later on in a run, I'm never quite sure. I mean, what's your thoughts on aches and injuries being older?
Yeah.
The difference between them?
Yeah. You can't be a runner our age and not be familiar with pain. I would put it literally into sort of four categories. The first kind of pain, you described it already, is what I call phantom pain or fake pain. And quite often it is in your first 50 meters. Sometimes I feel like my ankle is going to give out underneath me. And that's not true. There's nothing like physically wrong with your ankle, but parts of your body are just sending signal back up to the brain saying, no, we're not into doing this. We don't want to do this right now. And so that does go away, and fortunately. And then there's, there are weird things. You're sitting around, someday and your arch might start to hurt or whatever. And you get these sort of fake pains, but if you do a few stretches and a few machinations on it, it goes away. So phantom pain, you just got to run through that, like you said, and it goes away. The next kind, I think, is soreness. Soreness is real. I'm starting to train for the marathon, and I've added intervals to the mix. And, of course, intervals are going to make you sore. All of a sudden, you're running way faster than you normally used to running on this short distance, on a track. The next day, I was like sore everywhere. So you got to know soreness. And soreness is real, but it's okay to run through that too. I try to have an easy day right after my intervals day so that I am running on tired legs, getting used to that feeling instead of taking a day off. So, soreness. Third type, I would call minor strains. We get them and they're real. Like I was getting these weird calf strains, and I think that it was related to my shoes. I've been enamored with the sort of barefoot running concept, and I was running in the Nike Free. And it's a zero drop shoe. Previous to that, I was running in Pegasus, which is a 10 millimeter drop. And, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that 10 millimeters, suddenly I'm stretching my calves 10 more millimeters to get to the ground. And so I was getting these little, they call them micro tears. Initially, they feel like you pulled a muscle. People always say, oh, I pulled a muscle. But if you pull a muscle, that's a really serious injury. So most of the time, you haven't pulled a muscle. But it felt like a little, micro tear. And the problem was you couldn't run anymore. You had to stop right where you were and walk home because it was that bad. And I learned, it took about a week, sometimes even 10 days for that to heal and be able to start getting back into running. And it was chronic, it started happening. So I ditched the shoes. That was the first thing I did. But then I got a little calf ramp. I actually went over to a buddy's house and made my own calf stretching device. And now I use that before every run. So the combination of those two things solved it. I don't know if it was just the shoes, but I'm afraid to not do the stretching. So
no, I get that. Yeah.
When you find something works, you stick with it. The best thing you can ever do on something like that, a minor strain, is just stop running for a few days. Better to do it now, if your marathon is 3 or 4 months out, than to pay the price later. The fourth category, I would say, is real pain. What I would say there is that an injury is really an injury. There's usually an underlying cause. Runners tend to get caught up a little bit in a lot of the classic runner injuries. But the truth is, you and I are unlikely to pull our hamstring. Very rare indeed. If you had a slip and fall or an accident or something, that could have led to a real injury, then that's something you want to, obviously go to your doctor, go to your physical therapist or your chiropractor. Back stuff. Every now and then we sat wrong during a movie or something. Then all of a sudden we've got a little bit of back strain. that's one where you can go see your chiropractor and kind of get that sorted out. But real injury, you have to take care of. The good thing about our age is that we kind of know our bodies by now.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know whether it's fake pain, soreness, minor strain, or real injury. And then the final thing I'll say about pain is the worst kind of pain is what I call chronic acute Googleitis. That's when you've got some pain and you start Googling it, and you're going to find that you've got something terrible, something career ending. I remember I had a literal, sort of pain in the butt. I was researching it, and there was this thing about the piriformis, which I'd never even heard of, called fat wallet syndrome, because guys who were sitting on a fat wallet were getting it. So I just got down this rabbit hole. Could be 6 months to recover from it. I'm like, oh my God. I would caution really heavily against getting too far down Google and diagnosing yourself with some terrible ailment. Again, those exotic injuries, they happen to like elite runners who are putting in over 100 miles a week or whatever, right? They don't really very often happen to us. So I'd be careful around Googleitis.
Love to hear what you think of Steve's categorizations of pain and our discussion on the topic. So please leave comments. If you like the video today, give me a like, give me a subscribe. But most importantly, give me some comments about what you feel about today's video.